Hey, my beautiful family and friends. How are we? Doing good today. I just realized a few things and I just had to share it with you guys. First of all, it's the eve of the Lionsgate portal, the 8-8 portal that a lot of spiritualists are talking about, including me. I did a previous video kind of warning you to be careful what you wish for during the 8-8 portal, and I was still thinking about that and realized that not only is it happening in Leo, which is a sign that's all about expression and the spotlight, right? Shining like the sun. Leo is ruled by the sun, but in terms of the moon, it is happening during a full moon. So there's this paradox there. And then there's one more added conundrum, I guess, which is it's Mercury retrograde at the same time. And so you got the energy of Leo shining in sun and love and larger than life energy and personality and pride. And then you got the full moon, which is a time to release the energy that's no longer serving you, release all the things that you want to close a chapter on, and then you start a new chapter when it's the new moon. So that is contradictory with the Lionsgate portal. They call it the Lionsgate portal because Leo is the lion and it happens during Leo season, and it is the portal or the time of year when the veil between the things that are seen in our reality and in our world, and the veil between what is supernatural and heavenly and otherworldly, it's really thin. And so that's why they say it is the most powerful time to manifest, because like a dream, you know, it's already feeling dreamy, and you'll be able to make a wish that reaches that dreamscape very easily, right? So it's contradictory because manifesting new things or setting new intentions or starting new chapters is usually something that happens during a new moon, not a full moon. And so how can you be manifesting and also releasing what no longer serves you at the same time? And then the energy of Mercury retrograde is that not only is it just, you know, poor communication, misunderstandings, technology acting up, breaking down, and a lot of you know, warnings like don't sign new contracts and don't buy expensive technology or luxury items, right? So it's not only that energy, but it's also a time to go back over things and, you know, just look over and review. And so I was sitting and just realizing that all of that energy is upon us right now because the full moon energy is plus or minus 2 days. And so even though it is a full moon on August 9th, we're already in that energy of the full moon because it's plus 2 days before August 9th and 2 days after August 9th is when that full moon energy is in effect. And so I was just thinking about that, like, what do we do with all of this energy? And I did a meditation with my spirit team and got an answer. And so I just want to share with you some of those insights at this time. So the first message that I received in my meditation was telling me that this portal is built different because of a few reasons. But firstly, because it's not about asking for more this time. It's actually about closing chapters that have been on repeat and closing those chapters for good of your old story, right? The one that is about your wounds and your patterns, your doubts, and you know, speaking out about all of the things that you've been through. I've mourned it several times. I've honored it. I've let it go. I've burnt it again and again. But it is still this thing that I need to nullify once and for all. And after this, that's when we're not performing that anymore. We're to imagine what's next. And so I started to receive a message about the type of ritual that should be done. We got some work to do on this Lionsgate portal, and you at home, you can do it in the privacy of your own home if you don't want to, be around others and openly sharing. But I've created a fable about my old story. And this was done because I listened to an audiobook about, it's called Women Who Run with the Wolves. And it's about the wild woman archetype. And what I love so much about the book is all of the storytelling aspects that are in it. And there were fables that all had a moral to the story. And it's something that is orally passed down for generations from the ancestors, and that art of oration and storytelling that is very healing is what we're supposed to be doing with our stories, instead of wallowing in it and feeling triggered every time we talk about it and getting back into that old energy again and again. And so in order to release the cycle, I was being told to write a fable. And I was kind of having some mind blockages around how do I start telling this story. And the spirit team told me, go to ChatGPT and ask for some prompts. And it dawned on me that this Lionsgate portal is different from last year, because I don't think that we had ChatGPT last year. And it's actually quite a spiritual tool that can be used for purposes like this, and it's really effective because whether you know it or not, if you've been using ChatGPT for months or even a year, you've been telling it your desires by just asking it certain things for certain information, asking it how to do things, asking it for help with certain circumstances that you're in. And especially if you're using it like a therapist, in a way to kind of help you get through some of those stressful and toxic even experiences. And so what I decided to do was to just like prompt it. I'll read the prompt right now. I have it here. So the prompt said, act as my higher self and answer the following questions based on everything you know about me. Because ChatGPT has been keeping a memory log of you every time you give it a new prompt. So there were 5 questions. Number 1, what does my highest version look like? What does the highest version of me look like, feel like, and do each day? Number 2, if I wasn't afraid, what would I be claiming? Number 3, what do I want to experience more than anything? And number 4, what kind of world am I building through my choices? And number 5, what is life trying to give me that I need to be open to receiving? And so I'm going to keep it to myself what the answers were, because that's quite personal, but I am reading that so that you can try this prompt in ChatGPT. Again, this is for the ones that have been using it for months and would like to go deeper during this Lionsgate portal, because it's about feeling the prayer. It's about being able to imagine what is next, right? Because you don't want to keep repeating the same old story, right? I'll get into the fable soon, but then let's talk about how to imagine what's next and how to use AI as a tool to help you start generating some ideas so that you can start to imagine those things. And so I'll put the prompt in the description, but once I got those answers to those 5 questions, I took it a step further and I asked it to draft a fable with me as a fictional character, and I told it in a nutshell what I had been through. I summarized my old story, right? And said, write a fable about a character named Flute Lewis. That's my fictional character that I gave myself. Write a fable about Flute Lewis, who is someone who got into a relationship with a masculine who took her confidence, and it was because she didn't have guidance from anyone, not even her parents, and that was the reason why she got into that situation. And now she has taken her power back, and all of the ways that the 5 questions above were answered, it needs to be in the story as what Flute looks like now that she's in her happily ever after. Show a contrast between when she was in that old relationship that belittled and invalidated her and injured her financially, and what she learned and took from that experience in order to get to a good place of being happy for the rest of her days. Wow. So do you see how I prompted ChatGPT to help me write a fable so that I will no longer be in a cycle of repeating that same old story, and I can use the power of the Lionsgate portal to manifest what's next in that story. And I'm using the power of Mercury retrograde to reflect and really give it a name, what it was that I used to be, and to also use the power of the full moon to release that for good, so that the next chapter can be ushered in. Flute Lewis and the Hollow King. A fable of losing and reclaiming the light. Once upon a time, in a village where no one really asked how you felt, there lived a bright and brave girl named Flute Lewis. She was born with a song in her bones and a knowing in her spirit, but no one ever taught her how to trust it. Her parents, though present in body, were absent in guidance. They were caught up in their own unhealed stories and couldn't see that Flute needed more than food and shelter. She needed to be seen. So when a man with a heavy crown and hollow eyes rode into her life, Flute mistook his attention for wisdom and his power for love. He praised her beauty, but dimmed her voice. He liked her fire, but caged her in her dreams. He smiled in public, but behind closed doors, he'd count her flaws like coins and spend her confidence like it was his. He told her what she could wear, what she could do, and what was too much. And slowly, without even knowing it, Flute forgot the sound of her own melody. She stopped painting, she stopped singing, stopped asking questions. And because she had never been taught what love actually looks like, she thought maybe this was it. But the thing about light, even where hidden, it flickers. One night, after he'd drained her bank account and her spirit, Flute curled into herself and whispered a quiet no. It was shaky, but it was the first true note she had sung in years. And with that no, her story began to change. She left with nothing but her paintbrush, a ripped journal, and a broken heart that somehow still beat with hope. She wandered, she wept, she walked in circles, sometimes doubting if she'd made a mistake. But every time she remembered how it felt to be silenced, she painted louder. Flute learned to care for herself the way no one had ever taught her to. She let herself rise slowly in the mornings. She wore colors that made her feel like the sun. She didn't explain herself anymore. She listened to spirit. She created beauty and let it speak for her. She didn't wait to be chosen. She chose herself. And one day, something miraculous happened. She woke up, looked in the mirror, and saw herself, not as broken, not as bitter, not as less than, but as whole. She had become what she always needed, a guide, a light, a loving witness to her own becoming. Now she helps others find their song again. She builds a world with her choices, one where healing is art and art is sacred. People ask her how she shines so brightly. She just smiles, because now she remembers she was always the fire. He was just the smoke. And from that day forward, Flute lived not perfectly, but powerfully and joyfully and truthfully for the rest of her days. The end. That is the fable created from a fictional shadow version of me. And it has a happy ending because the moral of the story is when you learn to see your own worth and choose yourself, no one can take your power away. Love that silences your voice is not love at all. And the light you reclaim will always burn brighter than the shadow that tried to dim it. Wow, it is so powerful to look at yourself in a fictional character type of way, especially to hear a story that resonates with your experience, but to hear it told almost like a bedtime story. You stop identifying with that old character and you see that you're altogether a new person at the present moment. And Dr. Joe Dispenza was talking about manifestation powers really being about what you can imagine and imagining it as if it's happening now. His daughter, he gave a powerful example about how she manifested some money, and it was sudden and surprising because she sat and meditated for 10 minutes or however long each day about receiving money, and then she actually brought the feeling of what that would feel like into her imagination exercise. And so that is the next step. After you read your fable, you can burn it and you can do the exercise where you imagine and feel it as if it's real, the next chapter that your life is about. And so I will be sharing those instructions and those prompts in my Buy Me a Coffee post that you can find the link in the description. And I've also put the 5 questions to ask ChatGPT from the higher self point of view. And if you don't use ChatGPT, the good news is that you can still journal the answers to those questions yourself. And trust me, this is going to be an exercise worth doing, this Lionsgate portal. We're actually going to be doing a full moon circle tomorrow on the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, and we can all do this exercise together if you need a little bit of some support with it. And so all that information is in the description and links to my post in my Buy Me a Coffee. So I hope that you have a powerful, powerful Lionsgate portal, and that the next chapter is really sweet, that you think of the best thing that you can imagine for yourself, because that's what I'm going to be doing and leading us all into doing that as well. And if you resonated with my fable, if you liked my story, please let me know in the comments. All right. And so that's my good word for today. Thank you for joining me yet again. And peace, family. Love you guys.